Hi guys, what's up? You don't have to answer that. It's all good. Unless you want to answer that. It's totally up to you. Answer me, don't answer me. I think we have 0 viewers right now, which is totally okay. I know it'll build because I have a lovely person on today. She's been on before, and I think we had some technical difficulties back then, but we've ironed out all our technical difficulties. We've even gotten the same backgrounds, which I think is amazing. So you're going to really enjoy this. Hi, Mikki. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm pretty good. It's such a weird question, and everybody asks it, and we never know what to say. But yeah, let's just say we're doing okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. We have houses, we have food. We're good to go right now. That's all we can ask for, right?
That's right. So I've been following on the news, everything about New York and Broadway and what's going on and what the plan is. Today, it looked like it was more positive, what they were saying.
Yeah, from what I read, do you subscribe to a newsletter called, actually, I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, the Broadway something. It comes out every day.
Is it Broadway World or is something else?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a newsletter that I get every day, and it has kind of industry-related Broadway information.
Mm-hmm.
Compile right now. There's nothing to report on in terms of shows, so they're compiling news stories having to do with Broadway, and they just did a poll of people that have probably purchased tickets through Ticketmaster or something like that for shows, and it looks like most people want to come back to shows, but their biggest fear is that someone near them will not be taking proper precautions and putting them in danger, which is most people's major inhibition with going to any type of live performance right now, but especially for Broadway in such a small enclosed theater. So that's kind of interesting. I just was in Florida over the weekend for Memorial Day weekend, and then we drove all the way through north, the eastern side of Georgia. It was really beautiful, kind of all through historic colonial Georgia, but there was such a kind of a different flow of mask wearing, safety precautions happening, and distancing, and it kind of varied by town, by community along the way. So it's interesting that is kind of something that's on the mind of people that want to attend performances. I did see some positive things, which is that they definitely want performers to go back to work. However, with Broadway, there is probably going to be a 6-week rehearsal period before they can put any show up. And we've already lost Frozen, as I'm sure you saw.
Yeah, I saw that. I know we also lost, we were talking about it yesterday. We also lost Beetlejuice, but they had already planned on closing and moving to a new location. I guess that's not happening at all now. So it's sad, but at the same time, it is positive that they do plan on opening.
Yeah, I think they definitely want to open, of course. I mean, that's how all those people make money. And also with the health insurance, actors in the union can only get health insurance based on how many weeks they work. So if they don't have any work coming in, they can't get insurance for themselves or their families. So it's a pretty tight situation, I think, for all performers right now. And, something I've thought of is that the cliche about performers is when you're not performing, you go and you work as a waitress or in a coffee shop.
Right, you can't do that. Yeah.
And you can't do any of it right now. So everyone's just kind of stuck. It's going to be really interesting to see how New York comes back from this because New Yorkers have kind of a reputation for being standoffish or cold, but almost all jobs in New York that are for the average person, not just a hedge fund type that also has to reside in New York, but for performers or for people that work in restaurants, they're all service oriented and people oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take that away, that's the tourism is a huge moneymaker in New York. And I mean, it is in Savannah as well, but New York is, I guess, a larger scale. And it's just kind of crazy to think.
Yeah. Larger scale, more people, more tourists, more people affected by what's going on because they're all kind of packed together. So it's almost unthinkable to manage what's going on. And I know I've talked about that before, and I'm sure you've talked about it to many people before, but it's astounding, and we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's going to take some time, but we'll get there. But yeah, it's just going to be really interesting to see the way that the world looks when this is all kind of past us, when we have a vaccine and when we've started to move past this, or if we get herd immunity, whatever kind of comes first at this point.
Right.
But it'll just be really interesting to see the way that it shapes the world.
Yeah. So I was reading today, we're just talking about the news right now. I was reading today that the Disney parks do plan to open very soon. I think they're saying all of them will be back open in July. By July 15th, Epcot and Hollywood Studios will be back open, but they're all going to be observing certain things like taking temperature as you come in. You have to be wearing a mask. They're not going to have any parades or fireworks, anything that gathers large crowds together. And they're also going to try and limit the people coming in. So that should be interesting. It's like we were there, I think, in February. And funny enough, we were there in February and we came back and my wife was down for 2 weeks with some strange illness that they couldn't say it was flu. They couldn't say it was strep. We don't know what it was, but her theory is that she indeed had COVID at that time.
Sure.
So we haven't been tested. None of us have been tested, but of course we've been secluding ourselves from everyone. And eventually we will get tested if it's available here. Anyway, long story short, Disney's opening. That's sort of good news. That's see.
Great news. Yeah. But one thing that I think about with that is how are they going to, when I've been to Disney, the ride comes off and you immediately get back on. So now I guess everything's going to be more delayed.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to clean everything in between.
Yeah, exactly. Just have to see how it works. Anyway, so we were talking earlier about the fact that we're not performing now. We're not in a regular schedule of preparing ourselves for a performance, and maybe we're not hydrating as we should. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like while we're here, let's talk about what does a singer in particular do on a daily basis when they're performing to get ready?
Well, I'm going to talk about a singer who is over the age of 21.
Okay.
But a lot of performance-based activity is very social, and a huge part of socializing as someone over the age of 21 is grabbing a drink or a cocktail or a wine or a beer with your colleagues, with your castmates. It very often blurs the lines of what is a professional relationship just based on the nature of what is, especially in theater. In theater, the people that you work with start to become like your family because you spend so much time with them and you have to kind of break down all of your barriers with them. And I would say it's the same in many other kinds of performing arts, but especially so in theater. And what's interesting about that is that alcohol is extremely dehydrating.
Yes.
Right? It is. And so is coffee. And, you can think, oh, I'm drinking 6 glasses of water today. But if you've had 1 or 2 coffees or a drink the night before, and if you have a drink without having water after before bed, it can lead to even more issues of dehydration the next day. And now that it's summertime, there's the issue of air conditioning, which is extremely drying. Most days I wake up and I'm coughing because I've slept in air conditioning all night. We're actually here in North Carolina trying to sleep with the windows open now so that we are not exposing yourself to the dry air from the air conditioner. And, it gets cold enough in the mountains that you can probably sleep with the windows open and accomplish the same goal of sleeping in a cool house. But when you're performing, the ideal is that you should not be drinking alcohol at night. Some people can. It kind of depends on everyone's individual selves. And, for people under 21 or over, the same thing goes for juice or soda. Those things are dehydrating. They're high in sugar. They're high in sometimes carbs and definitely calories. And it's not good for you. There's, for anyone that plays an instrument that is a physical instrument like a trombone or a violin or a piano, you can see what's going on with the instrument. But when it's your body, when it's 2 tiny little muscles inside your throat that you can't see, it is a reactive kind of process where if you ate unhealthily or drank unhealthily or didn't exercise or didn't get enough sleep or slept in dry air, it can affect you 4 days later. So
Yeah.
it's constantly an issue of making sure that you're taking the best care of yourself as possible, which can feel really limiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember having kind of a breakdown about it in college, saying, I just want to be a regular person. I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with all this stuff. And I did for a while. That was the beauty of going to a liberal arts school for me, is that I was able to kind of ebb away from being a performer mindset and just be a regular person for a while and work long hours and go out to the bar afterwards, get up early, do whatever, and not have consequences because I didn't have a role or an ensemble that I was a part of or theater production. And I enjoyed doing that. However, I started to miss singing. And I completely stopped singing during that time. And I kind of came back to it organically. And when I did come back to it on my own, I realized that I'm fine just focusing on water and sleeping and hydrating and taking care of myself. And it's been much better since. However, in quarantine, especially over Memorial Day weekend, we drove to Florida and back, which was 8 hours each way. Plus, visiting with people outside.
Right.
But, staying up late in the evening and talking, which is tiring, and going to the beach, which is drying, and sleeping in air conditioning, and, sitting in a car in air conditioning all day. I am not in the greatest of vocal situations right now. I'm sure it'll come back after a couple of days of drinking water, but I tried to sing a bit today and it was just not there.
Yeah. You get that little rasp, that little,
cracks
a
a little
little
bit.
froggy.
Yes.
I think I'm that way every day right now.
I think it's,
Take a moment to hydrate.
Yeah, there's also the idea of, exercising your muscles. If you're not working out every day, and then you go to work out as if, like, let's say you're working out consistently for 3 months and then you stop for a month and you try to pick back up where you were 3 months ago, you couldn't do it. When you got to lifting 30-pound weights, you couldn't go back to just lifting 30-pound weights for 10 reps of 5.
No.
You'd have to start back lower and move back up. And it's the same thing with these muscles. They're muscles. And if you don't use them, they start to get a little fluffy.
So, yeah, great tips for singers. Don't let your muscles go fluffy.
No fluffy.
Fluffy. I saw somebody. She was walking in a minute ago, but she went away. Maybe she'll come back.
Might that have been Molly?
That would have been Molly. Yeah, I don't have some random person in the green room right now. She's the only one in the green room ever. Is she coming back? I think she might be. Is that her? Oh no, she's grabbing a cat first. She has to grab a cat first. So that's another thing. So Molly, of course, is an avid. Hi. There she is.
Oh, hey, Molly.
Lower down so you can see your face. That's so silly.
Hey.
But she's an avid cat lover in our house, and I'd say that if you do sing a lot and you have a predilection to allergies, this is probably not the best idea.
That's true.
Yeah,
but they're very cute.
Yes.
What's your cat's name?
His name is Claude.
Claude.
Yeah.
That's a great cat name.
Yeah.
So we found him on our doorstep. How many years ago?
No, we found him in the driveway, and I don't even remember.
He's probably 4 years.
He's probably like 5.
5 years, and he showed up and he stayed. And we have 2 others, but he is the most sweetest cat. He's just he loves all of us, but he doesn't love anybody that comes in the house. So.
Now he's digging in the litter box, so that's
classic.
But anyway, what I was saying is that, of course, if you have allergies, and like Molly, she often will spend a lot of time with the cats, and then she'll have something going on the next day where she has to sing, and all of a sudden, what happens, Molly?
I sneeze a lot.
You sneeze a lot. Yeah.
I'm currently cleaning my room right now, and I'm also allergic to dust mites, so I'm sneezing a lot because of that too. So
going great for you.
Yeah.
Trying to use that as an excuse, Mikki. Go clean your room. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Molly. That's an interesting point about the cleaning and the allergies. Now we all have masks.
Mm-hmm.
we all have access to masks in a way that we didn't really before. And actually, we cook a lot of spicy food, cook a lot of Thai, and we have Thai chili peppers and other very spicy peppers. And when you cook them up, it gets really smoky and spicy in the air. And so I actually cook with my mask on.
Really?
Because I find that I can't sing for 2 or 3 days afterwards from all the smoke and how deeply penetrating the smoke is. It's really, and I cough all the time when I'm cooking it. So I look like a crazy person, but I sit in the house and I cook with my mask on, and it works really well. So I'd recommend that to anyone if they're going to be around pets or around dust that they might be allergic to, especially someone in Mali.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to remind her of that in a couple minutes. Put your mask on. Anyway.
It works well.
Yeah. So I know a lot of singers that I've been around they've taken certain beverages while if they're having a hard time, like they'll have like a warm tea or a hot tea or something like that. What do you normally do if you're like you're going into a performance and for some reason it's just not working?
You know what I try to do? I always try to have coconut water around when I am performing. I have water and coconut water, and I like to chug one of the really big coconut waters, the liter ones. I chug those as cold as they can be, maybe an hour or two before I perform. I find that the hydration from that is so much more tangible, and also it lasts longer. And then I keep water around for in between sets or in between songs. But also my biggest thing that I got this year was it's called a vocal mist. It's a cartridge, maybe about this large, and it is a steamer, a miniature steamer. I used to have a steamer over my whole face that I got from Walgreens. It didn't work that well, and when it's like this, it takes off all your makeup, which is a problem, kind of for anyone in the arts, but especially for females who are wearing a lot of makeup. So what you have to do is, in that case, then you have to get a plastic water bottle and cut off the bottom so it sits in there, and then you just breathe out of the tiny little tube that you drink out of.
Oh, okay.
An ordeal, and then you have to travel with that also. So my vocal mist, or it's just called vocal mist. I don't think it's called my vocal mist, but it uses a percentage of saline solution, and it's a really small amount, and it lasts for maybe it takes 20 minutes to steam the whole amount of water from the basin. It lasts for like 45 minutes. And I'm speaking from the perspective of my most important gigs, which are with symphonies. My biggest test actually was in February, where I was teaching in classrooms in Savannah for about 8 or 9 hours each day. And then maybe, there was time in between where we were traveling to different rooms, or we were talking to students instead of singing for them. And also we would do afternoon performances at nursing homes in Savannah. And then I had to go sing with the Hilton Head Symphony.
Oh, wow.
Which was a long drive over there. And then I had to perform perform songs that weren't necessarily picked for me in mind. I was kind of filling in last minute, and they were not really in my range. They were screaming high. And I thought, if Vocal Mist can get me through this, I can swear that it works. And it did.
Awesome.
I sat in the back room and used that little steamer, and I went on stage, and it was totally fine. Shannon.
Yay. Hey, Shannon. I'm so glad she's watching. Shannon, let's get coffee.
Yeah. When you're back.
Exactly. I'll text her like once a day and say, hey, let's go down to gallery. And she's like, yeah, let's go to gallery. And of course she can't go to gallery. So Gallery Espresso.
Beautiful in California.
Yeah. From what I've seen, the pictures that they've posted of where they are, which I think is called like Perfect Town or something like that. It's something close to that, I swear. But a beatific town or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's very pretty. But so Vocal Mist.
Vocal Mist. And it's pretty cheap. I bought it online. Maybe it was like $60 or $70 from their website. It just works so well. I can't go back to using anything else, and it doesn't get all over your face, and it's super portable because, like I said, it's this big. And I even take it on the plane with me. A lot of people have those big humidifier, contraptions, which I don't want to do because you look like a crazy person. But this is just, you can just hydrate and it's fine.
Yeah, and it's under whatever 4 ounces, so that you don't.
Yeah, it's really small. The cartridges are maybe like this big. There's like 4 of them on a little. They're pink. You can also buy them on Amazon if you don't want to pay the price from the supplier.
Perfect. I'll post a link to that, I guess, maybe vocal nest. So one of the things that I have done when I've made that trip to Hilton Head, and I haven't had to perform there yet, but maybe one day, I don't know. But I did some auditioning, and I think the biggest mistake that you can make is try and warm up in the car, because of you've basically compacted your body, and you're not getting that full resonance of your torso. And would you agree with that?
I would agree. And I have a horrible habit of singing in the car on the way to performances.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. And you get there and you're like, there's nothing.
Right.
Also, I tend to sing over the music in the car, which is very loud.
Perfect. Yes.
Really, really good for you. Recommended to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, what's your favorite music to sing to in the car?
Oh, I'm such a pop addict. You know, the Spotify kind of came out this year with, I think, your last 10 years of top artists. And I think for their New Year thing for 2020. And I think every year my top artist was Ariana Grande. I felt so outed. No, don't say that, but it's true. I love Ariana Grande, and I think she can sing really, really well. I think she knows her voice really well, but to sing along with that in the car is kind of dangerous because she screams. She wails.
Yes, she does. And boy, does she run.
She does. She's pretty amazing. What do you sing in the car?
What do I sing in the car? I knew that was coming. I sing a lot of musicals in the car. That's just kind of my go-to. I do have a particular Spotify list that I've created that has all these male tracks that I sing to, that I just kind of warm up with. Some of my favorites are now I have to look because you've asked. I wasn't expecting this question. I hate it when people turn it on me. It's just awful. Playlists. Where are they? I don't know where playlists are anymore. Oh, I'm looking right at them.
They changed it.
They did.
Confusing.
So I know a lot of people hate this show, but I actually enjoyed it. And it's Mary Poppins Returns. I've actually enjoyed some of the music from it, and I know other people don't, but that's okay. A Conversation. I love that song. It's just him kind of weepily singing to his wife, his dead wife. Then a lot of Harry Connick and a lot of Michael Bublé.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, and Aaron Tveit in Catch Me If You Can. There's a couple of songs in there that I try to get my upper range working.
Totally.
Yeah.
He has a crazy upper range.
He does. I can't quite get there, but I'm hopeful.
But you can in the car.
That's right. And in a car, nobody's judging, and it's you and the walls around you and nothing else. So it's perfect. Speaking of upper range, something that comes up quite often in this house is your belt. Do you have a belt?
Yeah.
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 Have you always had a belt?
You know, I was a very chest voice oriented singer as a young person. And my head voice was very airy. So it was, very like,
Yeah. And
it was all the voice lessons were spent kind of taking those two extremes and bringing them together to make one cohesive sound. But the teacher that I work with now in New York that I've been with for about 5 or 6 years, what he says is that no one truly ever is belting. Everything is in a mix. It's a different ratio of chest to head resonance and how you use that vibration in different aspects. And I've taken that on as a concept. I don't know how you feel about that, but that makes a lot of sense to me. And what seems to me is one of the big issues around belting is that you hear a sound with your ears from a recording or in person, and it sounds like all this air pressure coming up and this loud, punchy note. But to the person on the inside of it, it should feel easy.
Yeah.
And some I call that what you're referring to as a belt, I call it a chesty mix. a high chesty mix. So the ratio of chest to head voice is skewed towards chest resonance, which makes it sound much more grounded and rich. But there is a thread of head voice coming through, which is keeping it in the little squeaky pocket to make it sound poppy.
Yeah.
Instead of if you use the back part of your resonance, which would make it sound more like opera, right? And then there's also the aspect of vibrato between the two, of how much vibrato you're using. But we're getting in a very technical conversation.
I know. So I'll say, so I've taken some voice lessons with someone locally, Heidi Benhammer.
I love Heidi.
Yeah. And we go over a lot where, I'm down on my chest voice, and then I come up to my head voice, and that break right in there, where I find it the hardest, I think. So I do a lot of work with that in trying to make that connection between the two. And what I'm understanding from you is that connection is kind of where what we call a belt happens.
Yeah. The connection point in Italian is called the passaggio, the passageway between the two voices. And that's where the voice, your larynx actually shifts a little bit. It's actually much more pronounced in men than it is in women, but the position of it moves from back to forward. And that's what allows you to kind of come up over the note. And it actually facilitates the change in the registration of where your air is pushing through. From your chest resonance to your nasopharynx. It changes the quality of the sound. But, if you listen to different artists, you can listen to a Beyonce, you can listen to Ariana Grande, and you can listen to, I'll throw her up there with them, Morgan James. Morgan, when she goes up top, uses a lot of chest resonance and a lot of really, really dark sounding vowels, and it makes her sound much more like she's belting, but she's not. If she flipped how she was singing and she was still using the same way of singing, she could sound like she was a classical singer. Yeah. And I feel the same way when I listen to Beyonce or Ariana Grande. I think Beyonce could have been the best opera singer of all time. Wow. Because she has such a strong connection to every aspect of her voice. She knows how to use your voice in such emotionally strong ways, but she's just choosing to use it in a way that sounds like pop music. But I think her voice is extremely well trained. Ariana Grande too. I mean, if you listen to her up top, it's very connected to the rest of her voice, and she sings softly when she's down low. That's kind of why she gets such a bad rap for her bad diction, I think, because she's barely singing at the bottom of her range. I like to watch her live videos from some UK. I'm not sure what it's called. Maybe like a UK studio.
Okay.
Studio One or some BBC Studio One.
Oh yeah.
And you can really hear her technique, which is fascinating to me. I think the people that actually do scream like Idina Menzel, it's an unreliable sound, which is why she's had so many exciting moments on television and on stage, because she's not necessarily singing in a healthy way that has a lot of longevity. So yes, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that was exactly what I was talking about. That was perfect. And it's strange that we go into this conversation, but I find it just enthralling because I'm always using my voice, and I do want to save it for something, whatever's next. And I do want to eventually get to that point where I can connect the two, and I'm still working on it. So, and I think all singers are continuously working on it. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also I want to help my daughter out because she's getting there. She sounds magical. She's getting there. Yes. But we can all improve. I'm not going to tell her that though. She's perfect. Wow. So I had a thought. What was my thought? I had a great thought. And now it's gone.
Is it to drink water?
Yes, I'm going to drink some water. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a pause. Oh yeah, Publix, Instacart. I've been using Instacart lately, and this is my complaint with Instacart. I put in Greenwise 1% milk. Okay. They send me Greenwise lactose-free 1% milk. I've never had lactose-free milk before. It tastes exactly the same, but for some reason it irks me. They're separate on the shelf. This is my old man complaining moment. They're separate on the shelf. So why can't they just look up there and see where the other one is?
I know it. I've actually thought about becoming an Instacart shopper now that, you know, we all have a lot of free time,
Right.
Especially me. Because when I've ordered from Instacart, I started going to the grocery store now. I use my mask and I go to the grocery store because they would go and they'd be like, there's no eggs.
Right. There's got to be eggs.
I'm asking for a specific kind of egg, but can't you just substitute a different kind of egg? There's no eggs.
There's no egg.
That's not true. They have fancy eggs from a local farm at the butcher shop. I know they have eggs at the grocery store.
I have had hit or miss luck with them. I'll have somebody who gets everything and they get it perfectly and they'll bring it. And it's perfect, except maybe they miss one thing, like sun-dried tomatoes was one thing that they missed one time, just to point a finger. And then I'll have another one who'll come up and actually deliver the wrong groceries to my door. And I have to chase them down before they leave. So this isn't right. And then they bring it back. They switch it out. And then I think we got something extra. We got like a loaf of bread that we didn't ask for. So I made sure that went to the right person. But yeah, I agree. We switched. We're now going back into the store and wearing our masks, of course. But yeah, maybe you should be an Instacart person.
I think I'd spend a lot more time making sure that it's right.
It's quality control. That's what it's all about.
It's all about.
Gosh, what was it? I'm still thinking. It wasn't that. It wasn't public.
Great thing to say.
Oh, I know. American Traditions vocal competition.
Oh,
yeah. So let's talk about that. When does that happen?
So it always happens the week of President's Day in February. So President's Day falls on a Monday, and that's when we have our first competition event, which is always our concert of judges. This year, that is February 15th through 19th in 2021. We just opened applications last week, actually, and they're going to close October the 18th. However, we are still working on predicting lots of different options of ways that we can make this happen. Is it going to be a digital experience this year? Is it going to be more like American Idol, where people are going to be expected to perform from their own houses? How are we going to get everyone to Savannah? There's a lot of questions that we're going to have to go through in terms of liability and safety and not knowing what's going to happen for the rest of the summer and the fall into the winter. We can't really predict what's going to happen yet. So like every other arts organization, we're kind of at a crossroads where we just need to predict every possible path in front of us and have a game plan set for each one so that when it comes time to pull the trigger of whatever way we're going to go, we can already kind of have that set out rather than trying to figure it out in the moment.
Yeah. Well, you guys just did get a new board, correct?
We did. We got 5 new board members, I believe, which is very exciting.
Female strong.
Very female strong. So they're going to have a lot of great workers, and they all come from wonderful, diverse backgrounds and love to volunteer and help and work. And so we're just so excited to have them.
That's awesome. And you're still doing the junior competition this year?
We are. We're planning on it. I mean, again, it's going to depend on what happens in the fall. But one thing that we're looking at doing is utilizing spaces that are quite large and or outdoors so that we can facilitate some proper distancing. However, a lot of those venues that we're looking at happen to be churches, and all the churches are in a standstill right now.
Right.
So it's again a waiting game, but we're going to be opening up applications for that probably the first week of June.
Okay.
And that'll give students something to look forward to over the summer too, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. We enjoyed our experience so much with that last year, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again this year. I look forward to it.
In a warm room.
Yes, in a warm room.
Or we'll have to provide blankets for everyone.
Yes, that was a very cold experience. I agree.
Very cold experience.
Giff Lockley, if you're watching, do something, man.
Heat the school, please.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But it's a great space,
Yeah, but it's funny because I say Giff Lockley, but it's actually controlled by the school board. There's like a little switch of the school board that handles that, which is just kind of ridiculous. But whatever, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's how it is at churches. A lot of the churches too, honestly. The church board has access to the heating and cooling, and they have to control that. So it's not the first time we've dealt with that.
You are not using power on my watch on my dime if I'm on the board. That's how it works, I guess. I don't really know.
Bureaucracy.
Exactly. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today about voice, and I hope that someone out there has gotten some perspective on the singing voice and how to take care of it. And we talked a little bit about the break and the belt, not the belt, but you call it the combined chest head voice?
Yeah, a mix.
A mix.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I wish you so well.
Thank
And
you
your stay in North Carolina, I hope it doesn't go too much longer. I know you're enjoying yourself, but I know you want to get back to work just like we all do.
I do. Yeah. But like your theater and my performing, it depends on audiences. So
right.
It's anyone's guess as to when we can get back to it, but hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Soon.
Yeah.
Great. Stay on for a minute. I'll talk to you after I say goodbye to everybody. And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Yay. Mikki, that was great. Thank you. We'll be back here tomorrow. I'm going to be talking with Ryan McCurdy. He is a previous guest, but I can't wait to have him on again. He's actually up in New York right now, so he's in the thick of it, as it were, and we'll find out how things are going there. But be back here again tomorrow. And I also wanted to say a special thank you to Connect Savannah for highlighting what I'm doing here. I thought that was so awesome. So Sean Kelly and Connect Savannah, thank you for taking your time to give me a little interview and give us a little publicity. It's a great thing. So thank you. See you tomorrow.